There's nobody here yet, but I'll just start battling. Last night, yesterday morning that is, I did my drop, and I called dispatch and I said, okay, I'm kind of off the map here, where do I go? And they said, head towards Columbus, because Lincoln, I think it was Lincoln, was where I was dropping my load off. And the problem I'm questioning is in this expediting job, you immediately lose sight of where you've been. I can't remember the names of these towns. So I went up here, spent part of the day at a Love's, and it just wasn't the right setup, wasn't very friendly there. So I packed up and I came south out of Columbus on Highway 23, and there is a rest area down here a short distance. It is brand new, and it is absolutely gorgeous rest area. And it even has rocking chairs outside under the porch. There was a full-time crew walking around wiping the windows down and keeping the sidewalks clean. It was really, 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 really nice. It's on Highway 23. I didn't film it because I was going to do it today, but they were mowing the lawns and it was making too much noise. So I didn't film it. But it was clean as a whistle. Had the water refilling options, which I really enjoy. And I spent the night there. And it's one big long line of parking on one side, so it's not ideal for sleeping, but the area that it covered was long enough that you didn't have to worry about bugging other people. But I have a generator I have to run for my air conditioner, and if you park like you're supposed to, the generator's like right out there in the open. Now I do lock it vehicle, but if everybody goes by sees it, they can get it. Just takes one bolt cutter, and I lost my generator. So what I ended up doing was going all the way down to the end, as far away from everybody as I could get, and I backed the van in, and then the generator locks to the back of the van, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So I spent the night at this rest area, and there was other people there, other cars, no other vans were parked there. But the humidity, and here we are just south of Columbus, Ohio, but here is horrid. And I have this not terribly big transit van, and the humidity, I have a 6,000 BTU air conditioner, could not cool off the back half of the van on the inside. I mean, it was just bleh. That thing ran all night, and being close to it, it became tolerable, but it never actually cooled off. It was bad. And there's a drain line I put out, and it's peeing the water out that it's pulling out of the atmosphere. It was really bad. So my biggest fear was getting stuck here this weekend without a load. And it makes you nervous when the my little app shows me where I am in the pecking order. And I was number one, but the numbers kept moving, and I kept staying number one, not moving. I just got a load. So I am currently en route going through Columbus. I'm going to a town called Golian, Golian, up north. I'm grabbing a package and going to Waterloo, Iowa. And it's not due till Sunday, which is doable, totally doable. It's less than 600 miles, so I can go kind of lazy at this. I don't have to really push. And what I'm also hoping as I go further west that the humidity drops. That's kind of the big one. I want the humidity to go down because it is sticky here. And I don't think my air conditioner could fight that much sticky. It's the issue I had last night. But I got up and I just drove down the road, refilled my tank, refilled my gas can, and I found out my generator will run 9 hours on 1.6 gallons of gas, because at 5-something this morning it started going, oh, like it was struggling. I know what that is. I bailed out, shut it off, poured some more fuel. Here we go. So I got to crawl up here. It's going to put me back on 71. I'm going to head up here to this little town and pick up this, whatever it is. And I'm going to start moseying to the west. Get out of the way from this pack. And that's the plan. The rest area down on 23 here, south of Columbus, is a brand new rest area. Like new. It had rocking chairs outside. And I have never seen that before. And it was actually quite nice to sit there under the shade and hang out the rocking chair. The problem is the wind eventually died off. Heat was picking up. So like I said, my paranoia was, it was bad. But they gave me a load, so we're rolling now. So life is good. I used to get about 71. 2 miles to go. About 71. Whew. I gotta see how this load's gonna fit in here. It's 2 pallets, and depending on the dimensions of the pallets, I may or may not be able to have my bunk folded down, and that may turn into an issue. But let me get up here and see what these guys, what they have. At least I got something to do this weekend, because there's nothing worse than getting caught somewhere over a weekend. You have no cargo, nothing to do. You just kind of hang out. I got somebody on here. Oh, from the Philippines. Hey, how you doing? Wow. What time is it over there? By the way, it's coming up on noon here in, where am I? Ohio. Wow. Yeah, the other night, just for giggles, I went on here and started streaming at 11:30 at night, and I had a dump truck full of load of people jump on here, which really surprised me that there was that many people up. And I had one guy from Australia, a guy from Germany. I mean, it was nuts. Number 2? Number 2. That's kind of cool. Yeah, but it was crazy. You know, for people who have never been on here, what I'm doing is I'm an expediter, which is basically truck driving in a box van. It's a lot simpler. And I drive a Ford Transit van, and I deliver essentially 1 or 2 pallets. And it's hurry up delivery. It's not loaded in a truck with a bunch of other stuff and we'll sort it out later. It's usually something they need right now. So this is my retirement job, and I drive all over the country doing this. And like I said, I'm south of Columbus, Ohio, and I'm heading to a little north of Columbus, and then I'm heading to Waterloo, Iowa with whatever this is I'm picking up. I don't even know what it is. But that's my entertainment bundle. While I was waiting, using the rest area rocking chairs while I was sitting there, some guy started talking at me, not talking to me, just some random guy, and it didn't take long to realize this guy wasn't operating at full capacity. So I let him go, and he was in the area trying to pick up a paycheck or something that he was owed, and I don't even know what this guy did, but he had driven here from Pennsylvania or something to pick up a check. He was owed, or he thought he was owed. The end result was, like I said, this guy wasn't operating at full capacity, and he showed me a photograph of his quote girlfriend, and it was this professional shot of this incredibly beautiful woman showing her assets, kinda. And he goes, "Yeah, she's from the Ukraine." I went, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, she's been my girlfriend now for 5 years." Is she here? She goes, "Yeah, she's stateside right now." I went, "Oh, so she's with you?" He goes, "No, she's in New York." And I went, "How long has she been in New York?" He's like, "Oh, a few months." He said, "I'm trying to get the money together to get her here." And I went, "Oh." So someone's just using this guy. You know, been his quote girlfriend for 5 years, and they've never actually met. So I kind of felt bad for that guy. I sat there and let him shoot my ear off for a while. Okay, it's just my turn. So, yeah. And then do I turn? Are you not going to let me turn? They are not going to let me turn here. Wow. I gotta go left. I gotta go left right there. That didn't happen. Alright, so now I gotta, whoa. Get some squat around here. Now I gotta go this way for a while and then circle back. That sucked. Yeah, that sucked. Okay, I guess I gotta go this way now. It's gonna spin me around. Tough. Yeah, I needed a turn back there. I don't know what this state has with closing on ramps, but that's the second one I've run into. So now I'm going to chase this around a little bit, and then it's going to head me back. Yeah, for air conditioning, if you can avoid it in a van, you don't want to run the van all the time. You're just wearing it out. So I have a suitcase generator here in the back. It's a no-brand. It runs like a top. You just go to the big knob. You just go choke, pull start, on. And you're on. And one other switch setting is off. So it's just 3 settings. It fires up. It runs well. Like I said, I went through 9 hours and used the 1.6 gallon tank, so it worked good. It's rated, boost rating at 2450, and I have this air conditioner sitting on the seat next to me, this rolling air conditioner. The problem is it can't keep up with the humidity. This is nuts. Does anybody know, is Iowa a little less humid than Ohio? I don't know how many more days like this I can stand. I'm going to be on the clock here for about 5 more weeks, 6 more weeks. I'm just going to stay on. Usually I work about 3 weeks and go home for a week. This time I'm going to stay on. And instead of going home to Texas, I'm going to be flying my wife out to New York, Western New York. We're going to meet and hang out with some family out there on the family farm. She doesn't have a lot of experience with family farms, so I'm going to teach her the area. It's kind of a nice place. Hang out with my cousin and his wife. But that's our exciting plans for the back half of August. So I'm not going to see my home until next time. Now that I'm saying that out loud, seems like a long time from now. Van is coming up on an oil change here pretty soon. I am down to 9% now. 9% left on this. And I do my own oil change in the winter. Way cheaper. Take a synthetic oil change is runs what, $100, $110 nowadays. I get the same oil. I get a 5-quart container of full synthetic castor oil from Amazon with delivery for $21 and change. The store it's like 37, and then I get my filters, which the filter recommendation use anything but Fram. I pay, it's actually Photograph, so it's Ford. I pay right at $10 for the filter, so I can do my own oil change for just under $32 synthetic, which I consider that to be a victory. I got to do it here in the next few days because I am just about on top of that oil change. Anybody who's tuning in, this is Columbus, Ohio. I'm going around the loop here trying to get to the north side of town. Thank God this is the middle of the day and the traffic is crazy. This guy as well. Got the cruise set on 60 because I don't have to be till Waterloo, Iowa till Sunday, so that's the rush. I'll just mosey here for a while. Yeah, that rest area, that was that was wonderful. To have a brand new one that's got a full-time attendant walking around, also to wipe it down and clean it, keep the grounds clean and mow the lawns, just look nice. The only place I've been that had truly bad, and I mean underlined bad rest areas was California. I was down in the southern part, even the state, and the rest area I ran into looked like it was built in the 1970s. And as soon as they got done, they walked away and never looked back. The style was terrible. The parking lot was terrible. I mean, there were like posters under these glass-covered, like information posters. The posters were sun-faded or disintegrated from time. I mean, it was just, it's obviously no one had touched anything there in years. It was rough. They did take care of it. And I kind of like these states that spend the time and money clean because it really says something about, you guys being people care. People remember that stuff. I certainly do. I'm sitting here thinking out loud to myself. Hold on. I think I'm going to go into one of my little bedroom things. I made a video quite a while ago. Just a regular video somewhere in my playlist. I've talked about this numerous times on here. I am a big-time World War II vet, World War II buff. I started it when I was a kid. I was about 12. And when I was 12, all the World War II vets were in their 50s, and they were everywhere. They came a dime a dozen. Nowadays, they're kind of rare, where there's less than 1% of World War II vets left. And during the war, I think I read 16 million Americans served in the military. And last check, there were 60,000 left. So that crowd is almost gone. And I used to get World War II magazine. You hear, you read, and I had told a story about a guy that was mentioned there that I actually looked into. There was a story in a magazine or a book many years ago I read about a guy, Jamestown, Virginia, right on. That's cool. This guy was a young kid who was in the German army during the war, and he got sent to Crete. And anybody's not familiar with the Battle of Crete, happened in 1940. It's in the Mediterranean. It was just a strategic location between North Africa and the mainland of Europe and Italy. And the Brits had it. The Brits had control of it, and the Germans did an invasion. It was the one big airborne invasion they did. They ended up taking the island, but the casualties were so incredibly high, they never did airborne operations again after that. So they took the island, and this kid that relayed this story, he wasn't a combat soldier, he was a administrative puke. He worked in an office. He wasn't shoot 'em up, bang bang. So he gets sent, right after the invasion's over and the Germans take control of the island, he gets sent there to work his office job. And on the island, basically the men are gone. The fighting soldiers, the Greeks, the Cretans, the Brits, they're all gone. So what the local population on the island consists of old men, women and children, that's pretty much it. And the universal problem in war zones is doing your laundry. So one day this guy packs up, he's there a while, he's got his big bag of laundry on his back, and he says, I'm going to go try something. He picks up, and he goes on a hike. And Crete is arid, it's a rocky country, mostly dry. They grow olive trees are common. They don't have a lot of real arable land, but it's very, very dry there. Rocky mountainous setting. So this guy puts on his backpack full of all his dirty clothes, and he goes to their supply room because he has control over it, and he grabs 2 cans of something, and he heads up into the hills. And as you go up, like the island, it's a long, skinny island, and as you walk toward the center of Crete, you're going uphill, you get to the top, and then you go down the other side to the coastline on the other side. So he starts heading up this hill, and it's like a single lane road, dirt road. And he stops, and there's like farms to the left and the right. They're kind of on the land around. You can see a distance in it. There's a house. Doesn't look for what he's looking for. And it keeps going. But with a single lane road shrinks down to a donkey cart trail. And he finds another farm which has a little bit of land around it, a little house. And he's like, it doesn't feel the way I like it to. Hey, how you doing there? I don't know. I can't read that. Hi, whoever just popped in. He keeps going up the trail, and he gets down to it's a footpath, and he's about to the top of the mountain, and he comes over a clearing, and there's this big open field, and across the field there's a little house and one giant olive tree next to it. Now, back then, the people in Crete did not live in their houses. I don't know what they do now. They didn't actually live in their house. They slept in their house, but they lived outside of their house. They would sit at like a park bench, and they just live outdoors. They don't want to go indoors. They don't like it. I get it. Well, he's looking across this field. It's about 100 yards away, and there is a woman and 2 little kids running around. And he stops and he stands there and he looks at him for a while. And eventually they notice him and they immediately run indoors. He walks over, walks across the field, goes to their park bench, their outside table, sets his dirty clothes bag, sets down the 2 cans of food, I have no idea what it was, and he leaves. And he goes all the way back down the mountain, takes him a while, gets back to work. Later on the next afternoon, he walks back up the hill, and he stops, and there's the woman, and there's the 2 kids, and they see him, and they run back into the house. He walks across the field, and there's his laundry, all clean, folded, and next to it, this is back in the old days. Remember, if you're old enough, remember sugar bowls? Used to be on the kitchen table. I don't think people do that anymore, but there was a bowl with a spoon that would sit in the middle of your table. Well, next to his dirty clothes was a sugar bowl with the lid off, showing that it was empty. So the message is, we need sugar, because in war, food is a weapon. It's just one of those things, because food production, distribution gets interrupted in a war zone. So food is a weapon. And he sees it, he's like, all right, cool, and he disappears. He comes back a week later, brings his dirty clothes, same routine. They see him, they run away. He brought a half a pound of sugar, poured it into the bowl, and left. This guy went up and down this hill, getting his laundry done for 5 years. Once a week, for 5 years, never got within 100 yards of the people, never spoke to them, never got a good look at them, got to watch the kids grow, and he would bring them a couple cans of whatever, and a universal currency, especially back then, were cigarettes. That was a big thing. But he was constantly bringing them food. He would find some clothing or something useful he thought would be useful to that he'd bring. And they did this 52 weeks in a year, 5 years, 250 times this guy went up and down this hill and gave food and had his laundry done to this family that he never spoke to. And then the war ended. 1945, he was still there, still doing his thing, his office job. And there was a huge delay with the Americans or the Western Allies coming and removing the Germans. So the Germans were literally just kind of sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And then the Brits showed up, but they disarmed the Germans, but they didn't like put them in a lock, a cage or anything, because the war was over. Everybody was kind of chilling with each other. And then they announced, okay, tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, they're gonna pull you out of here. And he's like, all right. He went to the supply room he had 4 backpacks. I've done this before in the military. He filled up 4 giant backpacks, one on his front, one on his side, one in each hand, full of food, canned, whatever he had. He just filled it to the rim. And he didn't take any laundry, but he hiked up the mountain with all this food on board. And same thing, they saw him coming, they ran away. He walked across the field, set the 4 bags on their table, and left. And he walked across the field, and for the first time in the 5 years he was doing this, he actually turned around and looked back. And they all came out of the house, they realized what was going on, and they were rifling through the bags, and everybody's excited. And they all stopped. The now grown-ish kids and the mother stopped, turned around, saw him, and they waved. Only time they ever did it. Never went back. Never saw him again, never stopped by, was never in the area again. But that went on for 5 years, and I thought it was just an interesting story, because when you read or hear about war, it's always the shoot 'em up, bang bang stuff. You don't hear about the stuff like that, the human level things that happen. And I just thought that was a warming story to have someone relate, because it's so outside what I'm used to hearing from people. But that's a follow-on. I have a tendency to talk about World War II a lot on here. It's just one of my things. There is it. I am on the 270 loop around Columbus on the east side, and I can't tell what this is. I'm getting ready to turn off up here on 2 South. Or the 71 to get me up to Golian, G-O-L-I-A-N, Golian. Yes, for this pickup. traffic's getting thicker, and I don't like this. When you're getting paid to drive, traffic is the bane of your existence on this road. Just passed under a bridge, and there was sunlight shining through the bridge because they were under construction. And you don't see light coming through the bridge. I was a little freaked. And for 70 north, I got to turn. Everybody hang on. Museums. I like military museums, and I like aviation. And if you put all those together, you got a military aviation museum, which is awesome. Hands down, the best one I've ever been to is in Connecticut. It's called the New England Air Museum. And they have a complete, restored, indoors B-29 bomber, which I thought was rather stunning. During World War II, they had blimps, hotter balloons, not an actual blimp, like a Goodyear blimp or whatnot. I'm still washing my hand here. And they used them to patrol predominantly the East Coast for submarines and whatnot, because they have loiter time. They only go like 45 miles an hour, and they can loiter around for days if need be. Somebody, somehow, some way, was able to get their hands on one of those gondolas that hangs underneath it, and it's on display at that museum, and that is probably the most fascinating thing I've ever laid my eyes on inside a museum, this gondola. It's just straps to the bottom of it. It has a pilot seat and a co-pilot. I don't know why you do two people, but one of the seats was a swivel chair on wheels, and inside of the gondola, it's kind of V-shaped if you're looking at it head on. It had, what's this guy doing here? It has a stove in the middle of it and a bunk. Right in the middle of this all glass enclosed thing. There are seats on all four sides, swivel seats, and mounted binoculars like on a stand. And I guess the people on board, the observers, their job was to be sitting there looking out, looking down. I think one of the guys they had on board was a mechanic, because there was a door on the side, and you could open this door and walk 2 steps, and you were at the engine. And there's not even a guardrail out there. And I'm thinking, you're 5,000 feet in the air, thumbing along at 45, 50 miles an hour. You open the door and step out into space to go, I don't know, pour oil in the motor or something. I was like, that is awesome. My question is, where did they get their hands on this? Because it's made out of that super, super thin aircraft metal. And I was looking at how I don't want to say flimsy, but how lightweight, because it needs to be light. And how they got their hands on it is a mystery. But the New England Air Museum in Connecticut, if you're bored, Google that. New England Air Museum plus gondola under images, and take a look at that thing. It's very large, but they've got a wooden platform around so you can climb up and get in there and look into it. It is fascinating. That piece of technology and that piece of equipment is just fascinating. A B-29 bomber, who knows where they got that from? But like one of the curators I was BSing with, he said that when they restore this, the plane will never fly again. So it's going to stay indoors. That's its new home. But he said when they restored it, there's areas set in the wing and in the fuselage that you can't see once it's closed up. And the people restoring it said, well, we don't have to worry about finishing this part because no one's ever going to see it once this lid is closed. And the guys that were behind it said, no, we're going to make this perfect. Even if it can't be seen, we're going to make this aircraft the way it was supposed to be, even if it's gone. And I was like, that's a good attitude to have. They finished it. So here's this little tiny air museum in southern Connecticut in this little tiny town. It's right by an airport, and they have some of the most beautiful aircraft and rare pieces of equipment, including Sikorsky made a big flying boat, like a amphibian type plane. They made 3 of them, period. And one was destroyed, one got trashed, and they have the 3rd one. And I had a conversation with a pilot like a year later saying that's his favorite plane. He had a painting of it. He goes, but they don't exist. And I said the New England Air Museum has one. And the guy looked at me like I had 2 heads. And he went on a trip to go see it, because it's a neat piece of equipment. But my question to these people, the curator, I said, how did you guys get all this, expensive, very beautifully restored aircraft? This stuff just doesn't sit around, and this stuff isn't cheap. And he took me over to a plaque, and it was a list of people, almost exclusively World War II veterans. And he said, every single name on this board is a veteran who donated at least $1 million to this museum. Which I think that's kind of awesome. You spend your life, you get successful, you go into business or whatnot, but your legacy is what did you leave behind? And these guys said, hey, my legacy is going to be helping this museum be awesome, for the future, to see what happened and what we went through. One of the items that's parked next to their B-29 is a tug, a World War II aircraft tug, which if you ever watch an old movie, an old black and white documentary, when an aircraft carrier starts to sink, the tug is the first thing that rolls off the deck into the ocean. They said that one was restored, and he said they actually used it operationally until just recently. And they said, we maybe stop using that since it's like 80 years old. So they stopped and they cleaned up, and now it's sitting there part of the display. I kind of got a kick out of that. There was another museum in, where was that? Michigan. I can't remember the name anymore. Same thing, I was stuck there over a weekend, so I was milling around in there. They had just received a Cobra attack helicopter, and it was sitting there. It wasn't really on display, but it was on the floor, and there was a big open crate with a bunch of equipment in it. And I said, oh, my personal favorite. And he said, yeah, we just got this, but we don't know what all this equipment is. And I said, as a matter of massive coincidence, I used to fly the Cobra attack helicopter, so get your guy out here and I'll tell him what we're looking at. He's like, oh, okay. And I started pointing out the parts where they belonged, and one was the armor plating for the seat behind the pilot. He's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So we just went through all the parts, and that kind of helped out. All right. Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks. I'm having a great day, Sam. Right back at you. But that was kind of fun to be able to point out where all this stuff went. He said, that helps, because they don't give you a assembly manual. Speed limit through here is 60, and I'm going 61. You notice the traffic just kind of blowing past. For safety purposes, sometimes going a little bit slower than the traffic around you helps, because you're not part of the momentum. So if something goes down or something breaks or somebody gets wrecked, you're not up to speed with them. You're a little less, and that's actually worked to my advantage. All right, the big 71 turn is coming up. My pickup's supposed to be at 3 o'clock, and it's just after noon here. This is I'm going to get there just after lunch. You don't necessarily want to pull in at the last possible second, but if you show up a little early and just announce I'm early, they have a tendency to go, yeah, we'll just give it to you now. But I have no rush or something to go in 500 something miles, because I don't have to be there until Sunday. Whatever, right? 2 miles. Yeah, if anybody's sitting here playing on their phones, look up the New England Air Museum plus gondola and look at that picture of that gondola. It's a piece of art. And it's super light because of what it is. It hasn't been made as light as possible. It's super thin. I believe the cruising speed was about 45 or 50 miles an hour. When you're flying along in a plane at 500 miles an hour and you look down, it looks like you're barely moving. I can't imagine what it looks like at 50 miles an hour. Okay, slide over. I was sweating not getting a load today, because if you don't get a load on Friday, you certainly are not getting one on Saturday or Sunday. Then you're stuck. You're stuck sitting there. And I can announce, as of yesterday, I have officially started the carnivore diet. If you're not familiar with that one, that is where you can eat meat, eggs, and cheese. Pretty much all you want. And you don't eat anything else. See, north. Here we go. That's right, salt line. I did it. If anybody's interested in it. And my buddy in Arizona started it, and he lost 40 pounds in 2 months, 2.5 months. And I guess the concept behind the carnivore is there's all kinds of stuff you've already got in your body, and if you don't continue to release it, the body will start to burn all the stuff we've all got extra of on board. And you can get the nutrients you need out of that. You're just not getting the sugars and stuff, so your body has to pull sugars out of its own being. And I said he's lost 40 pounds. I was like, wow. So since I'm out here on the road and my meal options are limited, I started focusing on it. So I'm about 24 hours into this, and I don't know if I'm supposed to feel different or anything, but I'll keep you updated. But he and his wife are both on it, and they figured out how to make lasagnas, kind of looking things, and food and steak and meat, and they eat a lot of it. And he says, I don't run or anything or exercise. And he's losing weight hand over fist, and he said it's to the point that they took all the other foods out of their cabinets and gave it to somebody, some friend members. Okay, that's kind of extreme. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this for a while, the carnivore thing, and see what happens. He said the first couple weeks are, whoa, don't change lanes when there's somebody next to you. Note to self. Let the guy behind me get mad now. We get mad. He said that the first couple weeks are hard because your body is craving all this stuff, and he said he was laying in bed and he was literally dreaming of donuts in his sleep. So I'm going to give this a whirl. See what he said. Not only has he lost weight, his joints feel better, his body actually feels better. Alright, that sounds kind of cool. He had sent these over the last few weeks. He sent me pictures of meals he's made. It's meat, eggs, cheese, and I think he said you can have butter, which I'm not really a big butter person, but he said he wasn't either, but all of a sudden he is. It just suddenly butter started tasting good. This is a live stream off my page. I've got a little over 3,000 subscribers right now. I don't know what's considered acceptable, but I've actually reached out to see if there's anybody who wants to do any kind of collabs or the kind of stuff where you advertise and we're going to talk about products. And the only people I've sent my inquiries to are places with products I actually use. I don't sit here and pretend like, oh yeah, I use fill in the blank on something I've never heard of. So I've actually sent out some inquiries, and it's stuff that's useful for this line of work. So I'm gonna wait and see what happens. They may ignore me, I don't know. I've never done stuff like that. Yeah, with this lazy drive to Iowa, it's going to give me a chance to do some laundry and stuff. It's just going to be hard to get there. And people tune in. Where's everybody from physically? I live north of Houston. North of Columbus, Ohio right now. I'm curious where everybody's from. Yeah, there's some pretty out of the way places that pop up on the screen. 40 minutes. I'm at 40 minutes. I traditionally live stream for an hour. something interesting comes up, we go beyond that. But when I get to my hour, I usually pull the plug. But this is just showing the highway. It's a beautiful day out. It's 91 degrees. It's way too humid. But such is life. Can't do anything about it. At 61 miles an hour, the van is getting 26 miles per gallon, which is insane in a van. Up in Michigan here a few days ago, something I noticed, they have a lot of personalized license plates up there, a lot of them. And I was surprised by that. And the style of plate is black and yellow. It looks like something out of the 70s. It looks like old license plates, but it's their new issue. It actually looks good. Family lives in extreme western New York, kind of by Jamestown, New York. So when I saw that, it made me kind of jump a little bit. Now the stream I did the other night, I loaded and got going at 11:30 at night and had to go something less than 200 miles. But the live stream helped keep me awake because it kept me engaged, and that helped. So by being on here, it's actually helping me quite a bit. Especially at night when you're tired and you're having something going through your brain, it really helps out. And if you're ever in a situation where you're super tired, I feel like I'm plugging something, drink water. If you're dehydrated, the little synapses in your brain don't fire and you start nodding off, it's because you're dehydrated. That's literally, it's all caffeine, yeah, that's great. Drink water and watch what happens. What I'm doing right now. Look. If anybody's considering getting into expediting, which is what we're doing right now, if that's something you'd like to stick your toe in the pool and see if you like doing it, look for a company that does expediting specifically. This is van stuff. And remember, you don't, as long as your vehicle doesn't gross above 10,000 pounds, which this does not, you don't have to have a CDL. You don't have to keep logbooks. You don't have to go through DOT checkpoints. You're basically left alone. It's just like driving your car. You don't have a limitation on how many hours you can drive. So it's like truck driving, it's just in a van, and it's a lot less regulation, a lot less headaches. It's also way easier to find parking. And you can take your van to the grocery store as needed. So if you ever want to try this, the least costly and easiest way to try this on to see if you like it is find an expediting company, you can find them online, and tell them you want to be a fleet driver. The company itself does not own trucks. Individuals own these vans. I mean, it's a truck, a van. And you will drive for the owner of it. The van is operating underneath the company's name. And the company's motor carrier, their MC number, and the company's insurance. But an individual owns a van. When I went through my little, call it indoctrination, my brainwashing, the day where they teach you how to do the job, the phone, the app, and everything. I went in there, and there was, I think, 5 of us, and I was the only guy in the room that owned my own van. Everybody else was a fleet driver. So if you don't have the money to buy a vehicle and set it up, become a driver for somebody else. And there's a moving target here, but it seems like the owner owns the van and the maintenance. The owner pays for I hate this, there's 2 insurances, loaded and unloaded. The owner pays for the empty insurance. The company you operate under their MC number, they pay for the loaded insurance, which is way higher. And then the guy that goes out and drives splits the profit of the load. And there's different numbers. I've seen 70-30, I've seen 65. Hold on a second here, I gotta make a quick radio shot here. northbound, just past the rest area on the shoulder. There's sorry, I had to shut that one off. There's a split. It's either 70, 30, 65, 35. The driver gets the bulk of that, but the driver pays for his own fuel. That keeps you from getting out here and going 85, 90 miles an hour. That's the idea. And right now, like I said, in this vehicle, I'm showing 25.9 miles per gallon, which is absolutely incredible. And there's a whole bunch of ways to save money on burning fuel, but on the cost of fuel. And I guess one of these days I think I'll get in here and I'll talk about that. How do you save money and how do you get better fuel prices and stuff. There's little nickel and dime tricks that I use that work. It doesn't involve criminality. It's just using the system. Ooh, all right. Yeah, I run a CD in here. The CD radios are really quiet compared to years ago. I mean, you go back to the 80s, 70s, and 80s, up to the 90s, CD radios would be going off 24/7 to the point that you would turn it off because it never stopped. Now, I'm up here squelching. You hear that? So I'm backed off the squelchers, just nothing flying around. Now, if something goes down, if something happens, traffic stops or something big happens, they'll light up. Because about half the drivers out here have it. Well, 91 degrees. Not bad. Gas in Ohio was just over $3 a gallon, and when I left Houston here a week and a half ago, I think I paid $2.40 to fill this thing up. Amazing how different prices are. From personal experience, Illinois has the most expensive fuel by a wide margin. So, when possible, I avoid buying fuel in Illinois. I'm out here doing my thing. The two big truck stops that I see Expeditors using are Pilot / Flying J, which were two separate companies that merged, and they recently bought another company called 19. Their sign's yellow with a black lettering. And I have their app on my phone, which is useful in a lot of ways. If you open it up and you hit location, it will show you all the pilots around you. You can move the map anywhere you want. You can see where they are, and you can click on them and check their fuel prices. And it's bizarre that you could get a pilot 20 miles from another pilot, and the price of the fuel might be 30 cents difference. So I don't understand why that happens. But you can click on it, and you're driving, and you say, okay, I want to go this far, and you tap it, and you can hit navigate. It'll take you straight there, which it's kind of convenient. Pilot Flying J is a convenient place to hole up overnight in the van. They've got bathrooms, they've got showers. And the difference for me between Pilot and Love's is Pilot, if you spend buy at least 15 gallons of fuel in one setting, you will get a half a credit towards using the shower for free. Trial and error, I discovered that Love's doesn't do that for gas. It only works for diesel. So it doesn't do any good when you're driving a gas-powered vehicle to try to save credits. I had to finally ask them about that. And back a few years ago when I expedited temporarily, I was doing the same thing, and I would buy 10 gallons, and then the next time I went, I buy 10 gallons again. And my brain says, okay, that's more than 15 gallons, but now that doesn't work. You have to buy at least 15 gallons at one setting. Okay, so now I move my gas gauge around and make sure I do it, and you build up shower credit. I think I'm sitting on 3 right now. So tonight, I'm going to pull into a pilot somewhere, or Flying J, and I'm going to reserve a shower and go in and use it for free. You could buy a shower, but it costs like $15. So this is just a little side benefit. And usually in the area, Pilot Flying J will have comparable or better gas prices. And when you have the app, which I have, and you can go in there and let them know you're a veteran and prove it, I get a 10-cent per gallon cut on the listed price. So I walk in the store and prepay, put my information in that's my phone number, into the little pay box there, the credit card thing. So if the price, I'm just making up numbers, if the price is $3 a gallon, and I walk in and I pay for it, I say, give me $40 or whatever, and you walk outside, the price now on the pump is $2.90. It takes it off of the pump. And it's only a dime, but a dime a gallon when you're burning a lot of fuel and spending a lot of money on fuel, you start to notice that. So I use them. I also use the Upside app because sometimes you get isolated where there isn't a Pilot Flying J in the area. So then I start using Upside to see what it does. And I've used that a couple of times on this trip. I got 5 miles before I turn off up here. Next turn. 26 miles per gallon. Wow. Hey, Kathy. Kathy, where are you from? We are currently in Ohio, northbound on 71 out of Columbus, going to pick up 2 pallets of whatever and heading towards Waterloo, Iowa. I haven't been to Iowa in a while. I am hoping Abilene. Oh, you're one of those weirdos from Texas. Join the crowd. I live just north of Houston. And Abilene, let's see. I used to fly out of Hobbs, New Mexico, and we would go to Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, and here just recently we almost started a job up in Pampa. You know where that is, up north of Amarillo? And just about started a job up there, and then that whole situation changed and it didn't work out, which sucks, but such is life. But yeah, Texas, that's home. Yeah, I'm new at this live streaming thing. Usually I get a little more interaction when we start running off on topics and stuff. But what I was telling everybody here earlier, yes, I claim to fame with weirdo from Texas. Oh, absolutely. It's like my wife. I'm talking about a weirdo. She's a redhead. And when I met her a million years ago, somebody pointed and said, "Oh, watch out for her." Why? She said she's a smartass. And I'm like, ooh, my people. We've been married forever. I mean, like forever, decades. Yeah, I was just talking here. I don't know how long you've been on here, but the gas, I'm in Ohio. The gas right here is like $3.05, $3.12 or something like that. Houston, I think a week and a half ago, I paid $2.40 for gas. So, I guess you get used to that gas, the lower gas prices, comparatively speaking. Yeah, Texas is, from a purely financial standpoint, Texas is one of the few states that's got its act together. That's why they've been lowering property taxes, because they have like a $45 billion tax surplus. And of course, the government wants to say, let's just keep putting money in the bank. And some of the legislature says, if you have a $45 billion surplus, you're obviously taxing people too much. Baltimore Anybody north of I-10 is a Yankee. Wait a minute, you live in Abilene. Take that back. Anybody anybody north of I-70? Yeah, wow. That's a combination. I was in Maine here a while back, and I hit a toll booth. The guy spoke with that super thick Boston accent that I can't even impersonate, and I started laughing at the guy. I just laughed at him, and I said, "Do you realize how funny you talk to people that ain't from up here?" And he started laughing at me. I said, I can cut what you're saying with a knife as it comes out of your mouth. Yeah, he's moving here. Trust me, he's going to like it better living down here than you would going up there. Whew. I've been through that area. It's like, man, you keep it a little too worn out, a little too cold, a little too taxi. When I say taxi, overtaxed. And I'm so used to being in Texas where all the cars are rust-free. You come up here and you start looking around and you go, why is everybody's car falling apart? You don't do that up here. Okay, here's me. Get off right here. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I'm expediting. I do what is essentially truck driving in a box van. It's just easier. I'm getting ready to pick up something in the town of Goliad, G-O-L-I-A-D? I-A-N, Goliad. I'm picking up I don't know what it is. I'm going to Waterloo, Iowa. Be jealous. That's the party capital in the Midwest. And it's due Sunday, which is good because if you don't pick up a load on Friday, you're not going to get anything on Saturday and Sunday, and you're stuck. Alright, here's my turn up. Now what? Okay, what do you want me to do from here? Okay, my GPS is not telling me a lot here. I think it wants me to turn left. I'm about to find out the hard way. Is this right? Yeah, hey, it's still working. Look at that. It's a miracle. Your ex-husband is a truck driver. Oh, he's one of those knuckle-dragging, overpaid, underworked. I spent 35 years as a commercial helicopter pilot, and I officially don't have a medical as of last November. Next month I turn 57, and all I wanted to do was make it to 62 so I can retire. Every year you take your first class medical, and in your 50s you sit there and scratch your head and go, is it gonna make it? Is it gonna make it? Well, this is the year they said, yeah, no, damn. So this is my get to 62 job. Hey, someone from the Philippines. I'm trying to read that. I can't. The lighting in here is really bad, and my vision is really weird. But yeah, from the Philippines. That's cool. I've had people on from Australia, and I had a guy from Germany the other night, which was kind of surprising. It's my nighttime room. Something about truck drivers that cracks me up is when they're doing construction, the roads are pinched off, and sometimes these drivers get up on the radios and they start, I'm gonna whoop your ass, and you're this, and you pull off of the next exit, and I'm blah blah blah. You just listen. Then the traffic gets moving, and you look at the next exit, and there's nobody pulling off. I go, Then you go into the truck stops, and nobody says anything to anybody, and they get back in the vehicles, and they're back to being killers. It's like, dude, shut up. The thing about truck driving, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, people who run their mouths. The thing about truck driving is amazing is during COVID, with all the weird stuff going on, they said, oh, it's costing more money to ship things. So the shipper sends a bill to the receiver and says, oh yeah, we have to up the rates because of I don't know, the cost of gas. All right, the rates go up. Well, the shipper pays more money, the receiver gets more money, but for some reason the driver doesn't get any of that money. The one that's actually doing the work, the one that's actually having the increased expenses, doesn't get paid anything different. They say, oh yeah, well we had to raise the prices because gas went up. Well, the driver's paying for the gas, so shouldn't the drivers see some of that? Nope, that's just for us. I was talking to one of our dispatchers last night late, after hours, before 24 hours, and I was BSing with him. He was talking, we were talking about the expenses of the job, and I was kind of making fun of him. I said, yeah, you guys get those injuries from having to click on the mouse and drag the load all the way across the screen and release it on the driver, and then your finger gets sprained and you need to put a cast on. He's like, oh yeah, you have no idea how tired that gets you moving that mouse around. And he started hamming it up. I went, okay. But that's all his expense. Slide release. Oop, what's this guy doing here? We're back. Yeah, I disappeared for about 2 minutes there. Yeah, I just reconnected, and that's usually the sign that I'm getting into Siberia. Oh shit, I'm completely out of people. Oh man, that sucks. All right, I'm at zero, gotta go.